she'd like to do right away is to be able to visit again the president at the Valley of the Temple in Honolulu. And after that, we do it day by day, step by step. The lawyers we have a good team of lawyers, and we have a good team of supporters, advisors who came here on their own. They came to support the First Lady, and they are offering their advices, and so we'll do it one thing at a time.
Well, that's good.
This aide-de-camp of President Marcos at Malacanang during the EDSA revolution, and you came to Hawaii together with the entire presidential entourage on February 26, 1986. Could you first tell us of your military background and position, as well as your educational attainment and business position prior to '86?
Yes, prior to 1986, I have been assigned as the military aide-de-camp of the president since 1975. I remember quite clearly that my first official job was to do the advance party to Shanghai and Peking during the establishment of diplomatic relations. As regards to my other military duties, I was also designated as commander of the Red Sector. Red Sector, by the way, is the ground where the Malacanang Palace is located, and this is manned by the Presidential Guards Battalion, a company of the Presidential Guards Battalion, and the members of the Presidential Security Unit who are in Barong Tagalog. And I was the commander of that sector. On and off, I am designated, or I was designated as appointment secretary, and also I was designated or assigned to several corporations, one as a chief executive officer or president or officer in charge of a steel company, and as a director of several government-controlled corporations, and as a member of the executive committees of 2 or 3 government corporations.
Okay. Were you brought to Hawaii on the basis of a personal choice or as a result of your circumstances, your duties with the president at that time?
It was, I would like to say, it was in performance of an official duty. Coming to Hawaii was not a personal choice. As a matter of fact, up to the time we were on board the plane proceeding to Guam, our understanding was we were going to be flown out or flown to Ilocos Norte, as I have been briefed the night before by the base commander of the United States Air Force Base in Clark that we will be flown out early in the morning to Gabo Airport in Ilocos Norte.
Okay, so to your knowledge, President Marcos was brought to Hawaii according to his wishes or against it?
To the best of my knowledge, and fortunately this was confirmed by many people. The General Escort, who was assigned to the Joint United States Military Advisory Group, or the JUSMAG, is Ted Allen, or General Ted Allen, and also confirmed last year, this is no longer a secret, as Mrs. Aquino has said during an interview of Magtanong sa Pangulo, and we have the tape here, the lawyers have the tape of that interview with Radio Veritas, February of 1988, where she said that she wanted Mr. Marcos out. If he was not dying, she wanted him to be out when she was called by then Ambassador Bosworth.
Okay, you have remained with President Marcos.
By the way, I'd like to say that in the early morning of February 25, when the news or when the responsible officers of Clark Air Force Base, General Allen, and the base commander, Major General Gordon Williams, saw President Marcos in his officers' quarters where he was temporarily billeted and was told that he has to be flown out. Early that morning, he was surprised because the agreement or the arrangement was that in the morning we will be flown to Ilocos Norte. And first of all, we were told that we have to be removed from or evacuated from Clark Air Force Base because the place was surrounded by the New People's Army. And it was a very shallow lie. We said, you tell us the truth from one military man to another military man, and did you get an orders from up there, from the civilian authority to get us out of the airport early this morning? And finally, Major General Gordon Williams admitted that he had been given an order to fly us out of the country. And that was it. We were not going to let it just be an easy compliance of an order. We were going to fight it out. Remember, we still had our long arms. We had our short arms. And we could have created the scene in that circumstance. But President Marcos said, don't put up any fight.
Did they say, generals at Clark Field, as to who in the higher up echelons gave the order to remove President Marcos and his entourage from Clark?
Well, our understanding then was that Major General Williams and British General Ted Allen were given instructions by Ambassador Bosworth, and Ambassador Bosworth was given instruction by his people in Washington, D.C. And little did we know, or we had no inkling that then Mrs. Aquino was in touch or was being called for instruction by Mr. Bosworth until March or April of the same year, when here in Honolulu, a writer, Sandra Burton, who has, by the way, written a book on the Philippines vis-a-vis the February turmoil, has said that when she met with us, she said that she learned as early as February that instructions were given to the base commander that we should be flown out of the country first hour in the morning, and that the order came from Mrs. Aquino, according to her, from her source in the U.S. Embassy.
All right. Well, you have remained with President Marcos now for more than 3 years in Hawaii. How do you feel about being away from your own country for such a long time, and do you want to return?
I have always wanted to be able to go back, but here I feel that I'm still performing an official duty. I remember for a fact that in 1966, the President Marcos signed an executive order, I think it's numbered 41, and it is series of 1966, designating 2 military assistants and 6 enlisted men to be assigned to President Macapagal. As in the United States and in other civilized countries, former heads of states or monarchs or kings or emperors or presidents or prime ministers are allowed the services of military assistants. I am in a position where it's hard to, or one would be hard up in saying that I am on an official mission, except for the fact that I interpret this as a continuation of my assignment from 1975 to 1986 to the present. President Marcos has asked me to stay and head the staff of more than 40, exclusive of volunteers. Volunteers in the sense that they do camera work, security guards, driving, and so on and so forth. We still have a sizable staff to contend with. The federal government has to, of the United States, has to deal with somebody before going to, or before personally approaching President and Mrs. Marcos. So I am happy that my services are still needed here. I'm also happy to report to the Filipino people that in spite of the fact that President Marcos is very sick, and in spite of the fact that there are many threats on his life, even when we just arrived, he is still safe, and we are performing our job as security officers.
We understand that you had a brilliant career in the military, and if things did not occur otherwise, you could have by now become one of the youngest generals in the armed forces of the Philippines. Do you still often think about your future as a soldier of the Republic?
Well, I thank you for your question. I had, yes, a brilliant military career because of an assignment in the South when I just graduated from the military academy. But I think it is brilliant in the sense that being assigned at Malacanang from the time I was spotted in the South, and I said I was confronted by the advance party, actually by President Marcos, when I did not allow him to enter a room which was being blessed during an inauguration. And from there, I was asked to report to Malacanang. The assignment there is blessed with good missions, like doing advance parties in many provinces in the South and in the North, and from then on, advance parties to several countries like India, Egypt, London, Seychelles, Nairobi, Shanghai, and then the last one was in '82 when I did the advance party officer in charge for security and for coordination in Saudi Arabia. And among other things, I was given a chance by President Marcos to take up another course, which is a master's in business administration in 1982, which paved the way to assignment to several government-controlled corporations as a member of the executive committee or as a member of the board of directors. And one of the best things that, or one of the best maybe one would be able to say that it is a good accomplishment, is the fact that as chief executive officer of the steel company, I was able to, within a period of 4 years, pay back the government what the owner of the company has borrowed from the United States Import-Export Bank, and where the Philippines, as guarantor, had to pay this indebtedness. My mission then, when I was assigned as CEO or OIC, or president of that corporation, was to earn so much so that we can pay the back taxes of the corporation and pay the indebtedness of the corporation, at the same time giving quarterly bonus to the employees and officers of the company. This we have accomplished, and I think it is a good lesson for the sequestrators now, who are running several corporations of Filipino businessmen whose corporations were sequestered by virtue of law or court order. It will be a good case study for these people, for these executives, to look into what we have done to the Jacinto Iron and Steel Sheets Corporation, where payment was made to the National Treasurer, to the then and now Mr. Macalingcag, and the Finance Secretary then, Minister Virata. And yeah, it's brilliant in the sense that I got my my full colonel rank when I was, that was 1982 or 7 years ago. But to say that I could be one of the young generals, assume I cannot make any presumption that if we are there, I could be one. First of all, I would not accept it if I am promoted to general at this stage. I have many years in the service, probably 9 or 10 more years. And yes, I am longing to go home, whether to join the military sector or the business sector. I am ready to contribute whatever I can. I am very grateful to the Philippine government. I was sent as a scholar to Baguio. I have had several military schoolings and civilian schoolings, and if I can, I have always this romantic fling of maybe being in the mountains or in the hills in the future and fighting the hooks or the NPAs or just doing what is good to the best of what I can do.
Mm-hmm. Well, following up on that, if you were given an opportunity right now and you were given permission to return to the Philippines, but with the exception or with the requirement that it would be without President Marcos, would you take up that offer?
I would have second thoughts, George. In the first place, well, in the first place, for the last 3 years, I have seen our officers, good officers, who were assigned in the palace before, very professionals, whose talents are not being properly employed or taken advantage of at the present on the ground that they are so closely associated or identified with President Marcos. In the second place, most of them are just assigned as desk officers, or they're assigned deep down in the south. And in the third place, I think I'm doing also service to many Filipinos who believe in President Marcos as the legitimate president by staying here and seeing to it that he's properly secured, properly served, because what is happening to him is very unfortunate. In the a lot of American friends have told me that in the case of many of their politicians, once they are resigned or they resign, then their cases are forgotten and they're even allowed to receive their pension. I'm referring to the latest one, which is that of Speaker Wright. There are many ethical questions or unethical questions being asked, but when he said he's resigning, people forgot all about it. In the case of President Marcos, he was dethroned. His quote throne or unquote throne has been removed from him, and now they're still in the process of dehumanizing him. Even in his sick bed, they still want to serve him subpoena. What is this? This is just so touching that to leave him now is like jumping out of a boat that has been sinking for the last 3 years. And I do believe that even in this present circumstances or present situation or condition of bottom line concern or profit concern or economic consideration stage or time, such quality as loyalty exists, especially among Asians, especially among Filipinos. And I provide, I am still loyal to Mr. Marcos because, first of all, he gives it back to us abundantly. He has been very loyal to his people. He has not given us any illegal orders. And secondly, he is there to serve as a lesson to the future generation of Filipinos. Even in his sick bed, he's trying to give us a message that one should not be trustful to American friends or to foreigner friends whose political objectives are brief, whose memories are short. and as you can see, Mr. Noriega of Panama has learned a lot from this lesson. They told him that they told the people some people or some officials with self-interest have told the people in the world that Noriega's candidate lost. It's the same as what they did in Manila. They also admitted that they have given money to the opposition for purposes of demonstration and for purposes of a campaign that could succeed. But Mr. Noriega said, remember Marcos. So the battle cry now and in the future will be, remember Marcos.
So one last question. Do you believe that President Marcos should return to the Philippines, and under what terms?
Personally, yes, I believe that he should be allowed as soon as possible, but officially I would leave this to the members of the family. I am a professional officer. Whatever is the decision of the family of course with the physicians attending to Mr. Marcos, President Marcos. Whatever they say, I will accompany him, and I suggest that it will be done soon. It will be for the leadership in the Philippines, for the present leadership in the Philippines. It will be a vote of confidence. If they a vote of confidence on the system that they claim they have put in place, if they would allow President Marcos to go home. The fear of destabilization if he is allowed to go home, I think it will just remain as a fear. I have served the man since 1968, more than 20 years now. First as company commander, as intelligence officer, as operations officer, before I became his military aide-de-camp, and I haven't received any instruction from him as regards execution of violence or anything that is illegal. I personally, as I said, personally believe that his going home might be the lacking formula in what is often said, a phrase or said as reconciliation. If we put a real meaning to reconciliation, then the missing link or the missing input should be President Marcos. And you cannot keep on talking of reconciliation when this link is missing. If he's 8,000 miles away, the military will be polarized as it is now. It will continue to polarize. The people will get tired of all these excuses or smoke screen provided when something goes wrong. They say it's because of Marcos, it's because of Marcos, and this does not hold water anymore, any longer.
Okay, well, thank you very much. That was really a very exhaustive and very clear explanation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Statement.
Well, what I can say is President Marcos has been visited several times by renowned doctors known all over the world, experts in heart problem, nephrologist, lung specialist, therapist, and so on and so forth. And they submitted the report to the judge in New York. Apparently, the judge in New York believed this. But unfortunately, this may be the heart of the problem. The government in Manila is believing an instant specialist who has not even seen a patient and is reporting that the patient is faking or malingering. It's not only unkind, it's stupid. It's stupid when a government who could soar in statesmanship if they believe the reports of specialists, rather than a man who is tasked to do disinformation campaign. And I pity our country. I pity the Philippines if the leadership of that country believes in the report of one who is not credible, one who does a PR work instead of being objective and being a diplomat at that. would render such rubbish, such report. And I hope the government in the Philippines will not continuously serve or submit themselves to itself to the law of gravity. This is not a political situation. This is a matter of life and death, and we are coming strongly with prayers, not with any political statement.
I would like to add to that, being a physician, that the prognosis of President Marcos' condition is very grave, and his condition is very grave indeed, to the point that, as I said a little while ago, he may not even leave the hospital. And being a physician myself, I would urge that with his condition at this point, we are leaving his condition to God. And I would urge everyone in the Philippines as well as in the United States, for a true believing Christian, that we ought to pray for him and not to say that he is faking his illness.
Thank you.